All right, well, now's the time in the evening where we get to introduce our guest speaker for tonight. So, our guest speaker is Michael Dale. He owns an agency down in Wollongong called Vault, and he's an online person. So, and one of his specialties is TikTok, which is how he met me. It was telling me just before we all came on that that's how he got in touch with me, and it was through another friend of mine, and they had connected on TikTok, and this other person had recommended Michael to me. So for me, that was a strong endorsement, strong recommendation that hey, TikTok's is around. It's one of those things that has got business potential. We just need to know how to use it. So that's not all that Michael does. He runs a web agency. He works with e-commerce stores end to end. So builds websites and helps them right through to marketing, making sales, and making sure they convert. So my great pleasure to welcome you, Michael, and hand over the microphone to you.
Perfect. Well, thank you very much for the opportunity, Nick. Great to meet you online, and also great apps there that people can use. Now, one thing you mentioned there is that I'm pretty big in the e-com space, which when it comes to interactive tools like that spinning wheel and heat maps, those things are two very, very key elements that are going to help increase conversions on websites. Now, what I might do, so today I put together a little bit of a presentation for everybody here, not just around TikTok, but also just like the full marketing landscape right now, how to find those kind of pockets of undervalued attention. And what I also mean by undervalued attention is that although big platforms like Facebook and Instagram are quite saturated, there's still definitely some pockets in there that are going to produce some really, really great results there, and sometimes may compare to those more primitive platforms that will give you more outreach. But at the end of the day, the real goal here is to convert people and turn those leads into actually generating you cash flow, right? So that's one thing that I'm going to be touching on today. Now, in terms of the presentation today, what I'm going to do is go through all the stuff here. And as TikTok being a very, very new platform to people, it's quite a novel idea. There's definitely a ton of different strategies that do work on there. If you guys have a business or certain, I guess, idea that you would like to run past me, at the end, I'll leave some time to go through some Q&A and brainstorm what kind of strategies I really think would work for you. So not just Q&A, but also let's put together some strategy that is going to work for you guys. All right. So without further ado, let me get my screen up. All righty. Can everybody see that? Let me know. We got some thumbs up. Fantastic. Let me just build my screen a bit so I can see everybody. Fantastic. So today, what I'm going to be running everyone through is what I call the Modern Marketing Masterclass. I'm Michael Dale, and as Nick said, I own an agency called Vault Agency. So 6 different things that we're going to be covering today. The first one, marketing opportunity, what it looks like and how to spot it. Number 2, the top platforms operating right now. Number 3, why content is king, and what real pieces of content are going to lead to you having a really positive result on your marketing, and why content matters so much. Number 4, TikTok Masterclass. Now, I know this is an attractive point as to why people are here, but also it sounds like a lot of people here are curious as to what TikTok is and if they even want to use it or if they just completely hate it. So what I'd like to do is just completely uncover what you're going to find on the TikTok platform, what kind of businesses will work here. So I can make that really, really clear for you guys. Number 5, social media mastery. Just some tips to consider. So, some questions for you guys to think about before you do any marketing efforts, how you can get the best ROI there just by thinking before you do anything marketing. And obviously, number 6, question time and that time to put together some strategy. Now, before we get into it, what I'd like to do is take a little bit of a side tangent as to why I'm here. And one thing that Nick kind of touched on very, very briefly there is the reason that I got in contact with Nick was through some networking done on TikTok. Now, I used to do these TikTok lives every single day, sometimes twice per day. And what I do is I'd have a set time for a TikTok live, and it would attract hundreds of people on there to come join so that we could talk about things. Lots of it was business orientated stuff. Now, I'm in the B2B space, but I've also been in the B2C space. So I understand what kind of elements are going to affect your marketing efforts and how that can work. But what happened was I was on a TikTok live one day, and this person was like, okay, well, they wanted to do some networking, and lots of people on there were business orientated. So it led us to start connecting. I've been invited to speak at her conference next year, but this particular person put me in contact with Nick via TikTok. So that's, although a very, very small portion of like why I think TikTok works and why it can be a really, really valuable platform, but it's just one small example that, you know, things can get done on TikTok. It's not just some childish platform. It's also an area that is starting to form a transactional use, and there's really some key ways that you can utilize that. Alrighty, so getting into it. All you guys know so far is that I have an agency in Wollongong and we do e-commerce. Now, one thing that I believe is really, really important here is it's absolutely crucial to understand where your information is coming from so that you know it's true, that you know it's credible, and that you can actually use it, much like a scientific journal. Now, I'm the co-founder and managing director of Vault Agency. We do e-commerce and marketing. And why we do that is because we find it really, really important to kind of go really deep on something so we can provide a solution end to end that really, really blows the results out. Like the results we get, we can be accountable for them because we've built the website, we've done the marketing. What happens in a lot of companies that engage multiple agencies is they go, our marketing isn't working because of that guy, or this website isn't working because of that guy. And what we really like to do is take out the crap there and basically go, all right, if we control all the elements there, then we can produce some really, really awesome results. Now, in my career so far, I advise many 7 to 10 figure companies, some that are ASX listed. So really, really fun stuff there. What I did is I set myself a social experiment to get 90,000 followers in 90 days on TikTok. And I did that. So I definitely know how to use the platform. Growing at 1,000 followers per day isn't something that's extremely easy, but it's definitely possible. And I'm the key decision maker when it comes to macro marketing strategy and business growth. So yeah, that's a little bit about me. All right, jumping right into it, marketing opportunity. Now, a few things that I want to cover here. Number one, what is marketing? Now, I'm sure you guys do have a really, really strong understanding as to what marketing is, but I just really want to go in depth in a really few key spots that I think are really, really important to cover before we go into what kind of strategies that I think would work really, really well for you guys. Secondly, what is a good opportunity and what's your marketing goal? Lots of people go into marketing totally blind. They don't understand what the outcome is, and that sometimes leads them to obviously not achieve that, which, you know, when you're spending money on something, you definitely want to achieve some sort of outcome. So firstly, what is marketing? Now, to me, marketing is the activity, set of institutions and processes for creating awareness, communication, and delivering value for your possible consumer. Now, that's a really long-winded way to say 4 things here, okay? Number one, set of institutions, which kind of links to your marketing platforms. 2, creating awareness. Number 3, delivering value. As business people, we're here to solve problems. We're not here to just sell something and get rich. We're here to solve problems. And in that transaction, then there is some kind of financial benefit for that. But the primary reason for a business should be to deliver value, not get rich. And lastly, your possible consumer. So really important that you're targeting the right people here. So let's go into this in a little more depth. First off, the marketing platforms are really important, and TikTok is just one of many that could do some really, really great things for your marketing, your company's growth. And yeah, so the first thing when starting marketing is a platform. Now, the question is, which one is most cost effective for you? All right. In terms of getting conversion events and outcomes there. So, some platforms may be really, really great for brand exposure. They may be great for traffic, but if you can't get those conversions, then sometimes there can be some issues there. And it may actually be worth using a more expensive platform because the actual conversion event that you're after may be easier to get on a differing conversion platform. All right. The second one is creating awareness. Now, every marketing activity should have a goal in mind, and creating awareness is just one of those many goals that you can set when doing your marketing. Now, it's not the most attractive one because creating awareness just means people know about you. Okay, it's also important that they like what you have and potentially want to buy that. Number 3, delivering value. You will never sell anything unless it delivers value. The key thing here is that your marketing efforts, your product, your business has to solve some kind of issue. So it's really, really important to keep that in mind, that your product, business, service, everything should solve some kind of problem, whether that be really, really minor and it's more of a convenience thing, or it's just a total massive problem. All right. And lastly, your possible consumer. Now, this is really important, but does the person you want to target even like your brand or product? So really important to have that product market fit there. And the secondary question to that is not just your opinion of that, but question, how do you know that? Because when doing some kind of study like this, understanding what kind of product market fit there is, it's important to have a large sample size here so you really understand, do people like it? Like I may like it and that person may like it, but the people that you're actually trying to target throughout your marketing, you need to make sure that those people like it. And you can also put some kind of a plan here to market those people on a consistent basis. And lastly, that point there, and can you market to them effectively? So one thing here is that you may have the perfect product market fit, but if you can't reach that person, if you can't create awareness and you can't give them some form of value, it's going to be very, very difficult to get those people to buy just because they're inaccessible. So how we do this is through some kind of targeting, whether that be behavioral, whether that be interest targeting, whether that be just around their what kind of a person this person is. All right. So before anyone starts marketing, you need to understand your plan and what kind of impact that plan should have. So when you set out on some kind of marketing plan, setting some kind of outcome there that you can achieve and aspire to get to, so that you know if you've done it correctly or if the plan even works, that you've achieved that goal. Now, I hear way too often that people do these sporadic marketing stunts. They try marketing for 1 week, it doesn't work. They're trying to sell this really, really high ticket product. They've launched one ad and they haven't gotten 100 people being like, take my money. All right. Now, what we find is there's so many people out there who just believe if I put a product out there that people will come and buy this instantly. Now, unfortunately, marketing is starting to get a little bit tricky because of what's called trust. Now, I'm sure you guys know very, very heavily what trust is, but when someone is buying on a platform online, it's really important that people have trust around 3 key areas. 1, the product they're buying. 2, the company they're buying it from. And 3, the platform they're buying it on, which is generally their website. All right. So just a few things to keep in mind there. All right. Jumping straight into point number 2, the top platforms. Now, right now, there are a ton of emerging platforms. And the reason why this is it's easier than ever right now to create some kind of social platform. TikTok grew exceptionally quickly because of certain marketing things that they did, and everyone just knew it as the go-to new platform. But there are thousands of platforms out there being created right now. Now, I'm personally aware and involved with two new social media platforms. So I can definitely tell you firsthand that there's a lot of social media platforms being made because it's easier than ever to create one. So the question becomes, these are the top platforms, but which ones are good? Now, one thing we find is that when a new platform emerges, is that it becomes really, really easy to get some kind of virality on there because the platform is primitive. The platform has a limited amount of users. So the platform wants to saturate its own feed with your content so you can grow very, very quickly. And it looks like it's really, really popular. Now, what happens is there's a risk versus reward here, whether this platform is actually going to become some kind of mainstream social media platform like Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, and TikTok, or whether you'll be spending time on this, you'll be going really, really viral on that platform, and then the platform will just sink. So really, really important to keep that in mind when going in on any opportunity like this. Now, in terms of what a good platform is, it's really, really dependent on what your strategy is. Now, in terms of strategies, there's four really, really key ones that play out. Now, the first one is organic content, and this is just your organic outreach. And new platforms, more primitive platforms, are really great for this because they want to saturate their platform with your content to make it look really, really cool. Now, this is the most commonly utilized strategy, and if you're a creative type, this can play out really, really well. But it is very, very time consuming. And if a platform isn't pushing stuff out really, really well for you, it can be a really, really poor strategy. Now, the second one is paid advertising. Now, this is the second most utilized strategy, depending on what industry you're in. And it has always been a very, very critical element for how you generate cash flow within your company. Now, within a whole heap of platforms heavily utilized, it's more about on the paid advertising strategy. Is your demographic focused on that platform? And the next one is outbound outreach. Now, this is similar to cold emails, cold calling, but you're just doing it on a different platform. And lastly, great customer service, which has always played out long term, but and it's one thing to consider when it comes to your marketing, because great customer service generally tends to play out long term because you get a reputation for how you handle your customers. All right. So for me, when I say what defines a good platform, I tend to break this down to 6 key elements. Number 1, the content. 2, the platform growth. 3, the ideal outcome, thinking about those goals. 4, the risk versus reward. And 5, paid advertising. And 6, your ideal audience. Now, to go into this in a little more depth, around content, it's more of a binary question here. Does the content on this platform fit with your brand, whether that be a personal brand, whether that be your company? Does it fit with what you do? When it comes in terms of TikTok, obviously this is a video only platform, and it's from 15 seconds generally to 60 seconds. Now, with the greatest success on these videos between 13 and 17 seconds, that's where you get the greatest engagement. All right. Now, the question here is simply binary. Does your business work with video? Because if so, TikTok could work. Not will work, could work. All right. Secondly, platform growth. This was what I was talking about. How old is this platform and how quickly is it growing? Because this can be a great indicator as to how quickly your profile, your company, and your engagement is going to grow, and also plays into this risk versus reward concept. Now, the third element of this is the ideal outcome. What are you trying to get from being on this platform? Now, one thing I'll mention about TikTok here is sometimes it's not going to achieve all your goals. It's going to do some things extremely well, better than any other platform, but on other things, it's going to suck real bad. And I'll go through that in a little bit of depth shortly. All right. Now, the thing here is understand your goal. Are you looking to generate brand awareness? Are you looking to generate traffic, or are you looking to convert people? And can this platform that you want to go in on, can this platform achieve that? Fourth, risk versus reward. Now, within a business, I'm sure everyone here, provided you have a business, is that your time is very, very precious. And the question becomes, how much time can you allocate this? Is it going to be successful, and or am I going to get better results by doubling down on something in a different field that's going to produce higher, I guess, conversions there? So really, really important to see how this and what strategies you're implementing, how those tie into that. Number 5, the paid advertising platform. Now, organic is just one spectrum of things, and TikTok has a very, very interesting paid advertising platform. But when it comes to conversions, there may be a few other things that are going to tie in even better here. So does your strategy include paid advertising? How effective is the paid advertising platform on the platform that you're trying to go to? And lastly, ideal audience. And this has probably been the number one question around TikTok. Is my ideal audience out there, and can I readily get these people? So is your demographic even on this platform? Now, in terms of the top 3 platforms right now, and more so within my specific industry around e-commerce, I would rank them as being TikTok. Now, this is more in terms of an organic strategy, and more so being within the e-commerce space. Now, what that kind of boils down to is how you want to approach things, whether you want massive brand awareness or whether you want to tailor your strategy to be straight conversion focused. Now, this is more around brand awareness, because as most people know, long-term business is going to play out better if you have a good brand wrap, and people see your brand as being extremely credible, but also, you know, you as a business owner need to perform on that front. Okay. So really, really important to consider that. Now, the first platform, TikTok, obviously really, really big talk right now. Now, this is the latest platform to the social media giants. TikTok has taken the world by surprise and quickly emerged as a platform leader. All right. Platform number 2, Pinterest, and not one that I'm going to be speaking very more about on this talk, but after many years of being an extremely undervalued platform, Pinterest has kind of followed in the steps of LinkedIn. After years of refining their platform, they've found a really, really niche spot where if you're in something that's a really creative industry, whether that be service-based or whether that be product based, if you're something creative where you can show a very, very visual thing, the organic outreach on Pinterest is ridiculous. It competes very, very heavily with TikTok in terms of organic outreach, provided what you can do is creative, people can like it. And lastly, in terms of top platforms right now, would have to be Instagram. Now, although the platform is becoming quite saturated as bigger players come into this, it is still an exceptional platform to get some really, really great results there. Now, in terms of Instagram, this is more around the paid advertising, but there are definitely some subsectors within the organic platform that can play out really, really well. All right. So really, really important to understand that a platform can be the fastest growing in the whole universe, but if it doesn't have your ideal client, you will be wasting your time. So don't chase the opportunity, chase your ideal client. If those things overlap, you have struck absolute gold. But if they don't, and you're on a platform that doesn't have your ideal person, or sometimes they can be trickier to actually access on there, sometimes it would be more worthwhile going on a more reduced platform that actually has your person on there. So just think about that. Now, thirdly, content is king. Now, although content-only strategies are typically quite hard to succeed with, content will always play a very, very big role in actually how you are successful. Now, regardless of what strategy you take, you are always trying to please a human, and humans love great content. Really, really important that regardless if you're paying for ads or you're doing something organic or you're reaching out to people outbound even, content is going to play a huge role in your success because it shows how professional your brand is. It shows how great your product is. It can communicate benefits faster than anything written. So really, really important to keep that in mind, that great content is always going to win no matter what strategy you take. Now, have you guys ever just sat back and just watched an ad and been like, this is the best ad I've ever seen, and you can just watch it multiple times over. You just absolutely love that. That's what you're trying to get, because if people love your content, they're more likely to share it. It gets viral, and social media metrics being a very, very social game, they like that because they'll share that, and then you'll get a lot cheaper returns for, creating that content. So few reasons why you need really, really great content. Now, firstly, you need to stop their scroll. One thing that's really, really important about new age marketing compared to more search-based marketing is that we're trying to interrupt people. These people are casually strolling through, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, TikTok, and then all of a sudden they've been hit with this ad, which could be completely irrelevant to what they want to watch. So it's really important that you understand that you're interrupting these people. So the first thing you need to do is stop their scroll, because if someone doesn't think your content is great within the first second, they're going to scroll past that and just forget you. So really important that you need to scroll past it. Otherwise, they won't even have the context to come back and see you. So first reason, you need to stop their scroll. This person is avidly going through their feed. Really, really important that it's bright, it's bold, and it captures their attention. Reason number two, you need to build massive credibility. Now, what I said on the last slide there is that content is the quickest way to communicate how credible your product, your service, all of that is, because everything visual just happens a lot quicker. When let's say a cold caller calls you, compared to meeting a salesperson in person, when someone calls you on the phone, their brain takes 4 seconds to determine, I like this person or I absolutely hate this person. Now, when it's visually, it goes from 4 seconds to 0.4. So you need to build that massive credibility extremely quickly. You need to look professional, and you need to look like the most enticing thing ever. Okay. Now you have a finite amount of time to grab their attention. Show them exactly why you're great, and then convince them to buy some stuff. Only the best content can do that in one hit. Reason number three, you need to be memorable. Now, if someone can forget your content, they can completely disregard you. If your content is memorable, though, they could be back. Not they will be back, they could be back, because they may not buy straight away, or they may not even purchase at all. But if someone needs your product and they remember you, you have the best chance of converting that person. Okay. All right, let's get into the juicy stuff, the TikTok Masterclass. So what I'm going to go through is, I guess, some basics of TikTok. Now, one thing Nick was mentioning earlier was a little bit about paid advertising on TikTok. Now, I really believe that one of the great opportunities on TikTok is not so much the ad platform, but the organic outreach that you can get on there. Okay. Now, why this is because the TikTok ad platform is directed directly at big consumers. Okay. Their basic ad platform, which converts at 1 to 3% click-through rate, is very, very similar to what you receive on Facebook. Now, where you get the biggest bang for your buck on TikTok when it comes to the ad platform is when you do a brand takeover, which Nick was looking into a little bit earlier. A brand takeover, the minimum spend on that is $50,000 US. Now, for small businesses like us, generally it's not the most cost-effective thing to spend $50,000 in one day on a brand takeover. Now, the second thing is a branded hashtag takeover, where you essentially have a hashtag challenge that they get top influencers to jump on. These things can generally last a week. They're really, really hot trends. People get on them, and brand awareness just spreads like wildfire organically. But these branded hashtag takeovers, they start at $200,000 US. So when it comes to the ad platform, even the most primitive platform, the CPM costs on there are generally about $10 US, which CPM, just to break that down for you, that's cost per 1,000 impressions. Okay, so for every 1,000 people who get eyes on that, you're spending $10 US. Now, when it comes to Facebook, they have a more variable marketplace where sometimes you can get things at 8 Australian dollars all the way up to kind of 30. All right. Now, if you do your research enough and your niche isn't as saturated as other ones, generally you can be pretty competitive what the CPM is on TikTok. Now, the great thing, well, like I guess the difference between the two platforms is that the Facebook targeting and retargeting more so is a lot more powerful than what you get on TikTok, being a more primitive platform. So the true beauty around TikTok for small businesses is more the organic side of things. So that's more so what I'd like to focus on here. How you can really emerge on the organic side of things. All right. Now, TikTok is still an emerging platform, and for the right business can make a tremendous difference in their marketing ROI. Not so much dollar ad spend, but creating content for the platform or allocating some kind of a staff member, marketing manager to create things on there. Now, but there are some really crucial things to consider before jumping on this platform. Okay, now let's look a little bit at the TikTok demographics. Now, we've just recently hit 1 billion users worldwide on TikTok. All right. Now, one thing to consider here, 66% of the platform is under 30. So quite a young demographic, but don't be disheartened. There are definitely older people on there. And in terms of my 90,000 following, I find that actually 62% of that 90,000 are over the age of 35. So my demographic, it shows that you can actually target an older demographic on there. Now, the average daily use, which is absolutely insane, these are the latest numbers that have come out, is 52 minutes per day on average, and that on average users are opening the app 8 times per day, which is just mental. And 90% of the users use the platform daily, which, to highlight a few things here, 1 billion users, that's 1/7 of Earth. So that's just goes to show that this platform is quite big and is probably in a stage where it's going to start really heavily transitioning into being a transactional platform, which is great for business owners, not great for consumers because they're going to get hit with more ads. But it's great for you because the ad platforms are going to get more powerful and you're going to get more bang for your buck when it comes to these things because of more advanced targeting, but also from an organic standpoint, it means that there's going to be more business owners on there for those B2B people. And for the consumers, the platform is always growing and it's at a point where it's probably not going to go backwards too far. All right. Now, in terms of the engagement, TikTok is by far, compared to the other platforms, the most addictive. People on other platforms, because of the nature of it, the constant scroll. Literally, I'm not sure if you guys have TikTok, but you can literally scroll for hours. 1, you won't get bored. 2, you'll never run out of content because it's very, very well targeted to what you've watched. Okay. And the last point here is the platform is global, which is good for some people, bad for other people. Now, thankfully, there is quite a big demographic in Australia. I'm not sure what the exact numbers are, but last time I checked, I believe it was about 12%, but I could be totally wrong there. Please feel free to check your own facts there. So the platform is wait, that doesn't make sense. If there's 1 billion people on there, it definitely can't be 12%. What's really important here is the platform is global, which if you're trying to straight up hit a global audience and your business can go global, it makes a lot of sense to be on here. But secondly, if you are in, a more local type business, or maybe you're national, you can still get really, really great results on a national level. Now, here's a few questions to ask and goes back to my last slide. Is TikTok good for me and my business? So first question to ask, is video content going to work well for your business? Secondly, the platform growth is good. So not something to really be worried about there. Ideal outcome. Now, when it comes to TikTok is a little bit limiting around the conversion piece. But when it comes to brand awareness, it's probably the strongest platform, especially if your business is deeply rooted within being a personal brand, okay? risk versus reward. Can you actually allocate some time here? And is it going to be worthwhile your time based off those first 3 points? If you can do video content, the platform is working well and you can achieve your ideal outcome on there, does it make sense for your business to go on to here? But the last thing to tie into that is obviously the ideal audience as well. Is your ideal client even on there? So basically ran through that there. So 4 tips for the hashtag platform. Okay, now the first tip is hashtags. Much like all the other platforms, TikTok has hashtags. Now, the key thing about TikTok hashtags is they're not essential. Much like the Facebook ads algorithm, where there's this massive pool of an audience, TikTok really hones in on who's going to be most likely to view your content. Now, sometimes that can work really well for you. Sometimes it can work really, really poorly. Now, why that kind of differs a bit there is because if the people who are initially watching your content, if they aren't the type of people who are going to buy your product, and those people are still watching it, TikTok is just going to throw your content out to those people still. All right. So if you feel the wrong people are watching your content, it could be a good idea to add in some topic related hashtags on there, something I'll be going into a little more depth. Now, secondly, post frequency. Being a new platform, being a more organic strategy, post frequency becomes really, really important. And probably the number one question I get around TikTok is, how often should I post on there? Now, the answer is, if you really want to grow on there, if you really want to succeed and it's a direct focus for you, the answer should be, like with any content strategy, post as much as you can, provided it makes sense. So up until a point where you can test something, if you're still in that testing phase, or if it's working really, really well for you, post more and more. But I would recommend a minimum of 1 post per day, because that's what the TikTok algorithm favors. It's very big around consistency, more so than the older platforms like Instagram and Facebook. They don't really care too much about consistency, but they do a little bit. TikTok is very, very heavy on your posting consistency. Now, the next question is what to post. And this is exactly why I think content is a really, really big thing to talk about. Content is absolute king. Now, TikTok being a more playful, creative platform, and the native content on there is really fun, it's quick, it's exciting. It's important that your content does exactly those things as well. It's important that the content you post on there is platform relevant, but also ensure, to get any kind of result on there, that your brand is communicated effectively, and not so much just the brand, the products, communicating the features and stuff, but also the brand values there. But also, it's really important to do this in the right way, because if people consume the right content in the wrong way, it can also lead to very, very poor results. And lastly, strategy. And one thing I get asked a lot here is, what's the best strategy? And then that's where it stops. Now, with TikTok, with any platform, with any marketing, there's lots of different strategies, and all of them have different objectives. So I believe it's important to use multiple strategies and optimize for a few key objectives. So what I'm going to go through is a few key strategies to optimize for certain elements of your marketing within TikTok. Now, the 4 most important strategies, the 4 most common strategies and conversions that you're trying to optimize for is, 1, to grow your awareness and people who track you. 2, your content engagement. You want people to engage with your content. 3, traffic. And 4, conversion. Obviously, getting those purchases and ensuring that, people buy your stuff. Strategy number 1, growing your following. Now, this is foundational to your success, because no followers equals no marketing, which means no sales. If people can't consume your stuff, then it becomes very, very hard to sell them some stuff. So Really, really important here with this strategy, really important to use relevant hashtags, use things related to what you're trying to communicate so that the right people see it. Because if the right people see it, they'll consume it right. They'll be more likely to follow you, which then boosts more stuff out to TikTok. Create content that makes people curious. Now, with a front end stage, it's really important to make sure to create content that makes people want to stay along for the whole ride, okay? And have a clear reason for people to follow you. Will they get more value? Whether that be comedic value, strategic value, whatever that may be, they need to get more value. All right. Strategy number 2, content engagement. Now, if people can't relate to you and don't want to engage, they will never purchase from you. So it's really, really important to ensure that you need to create engaging content so they can relate to you. Now, same again here, use relevant hashtags, target the right people there. Create content that makes people feel engaged and empowered by watching that content. And one really, really quick key thing, ask questions. If you ask questions, people are more likely to engage and they're more likely to increase their watch time, which on TikTok is a really incredible metric, okay? Watch time plays out more like effective for getting your outreach out there than likes or comments, which is reverse to any other platform really. Strategy number 3, generate traffic. If you want people to do an action, they better get something in return. So this is about communicating that value and the potential value they may get from doing something. So really important here, let's get really clear. Have clear messaging and call to actions, and obviously make sure that it makes sense. Make sure they will benefit for making or doing anything. All right, and get personal. Now, this is a really, really important place where TikTok Lives would be a great tool. Although TikTok is the best platform to grow your brand awareness and to grow engagement, when it comes to generating traffic and converting things, this is where going on a personal level plays out really, really well. And TikTok Lives are an incredible tool for this. And lastly, generating sales. For people to buy, they have to have one thing, certainty. And around those 3 things that I mentioned earlier, 1, certainty around your product, 2, around your company, and 3, around the platform they're purchasing it on. If you can make someone certain about those and they need the product, there is absolutely zero resistance for that person to buy from you. Strategy requires repetition, repetition, repetition. Now, the one thing why Facebook retargeting works is because they get the same message that they need this thing, which instinctively in their head, they know they need. It works, all right? Now, use other tools, like I said. So what you can do is bring multiple strategies in, multiple platforms like the Facebook Pixel to retarget. It's a really, really incredible tool. And lastly, whenever you're communicating someone to make some kind of buying decision, make sure it's emotional, which means you want to communicate the benefits. What outcome is this person going to get by purchasing your stuff? And that weird acronym at the end there means what's in it for me. That's all the customer cares about. So make sure you communicate that with them. All right, one strategy is never going to work by itself. Each piece of content, so really important, breaking it down to a content specific level has to achieve a goal. So something to grow followers is not the same piece of content to get conversions. They're on completely opposite ends of the spectrum, where to grow followers, you want to make people curious, all right? But to convert things, you want to reinforce some certainty that that's something that's going to benefit your audience. Get creative. TikTok is great for exposure, but the best way to convert is to get personal. Rather than having clear call to actions every single time, make sure that you communicate it in a personal level rather than buy. It's communicating benefits and then asking. All right, so the $1 million question, and this is a very, very basic strategy. How do I win on TikTok? So this is essentially what I did to grow from 0 to 90,000 followers in 90 days. All right. So my simple formula, 1 to 10 posts per day. Now, if you're doing greater than 3 posts per day, it's really, really important that you start to add in a couple other things in there. So there's things like what's it called? There's areas where you can take snippets from people's videos. A stitch where essentially what you do is you take the front end of someone else's video and then you react on the back end of it. Now that kind of engagement allows TikTok to see that you're engaging with other people, and it spreads the awareness of other brands. Now, when you do that with other people, the TikTok algorithm sees that as being favorable. Now, what I'd say is those engagement things where you can engage with other people's content are going to allow you to grow quite quickly because TikTok favors it. And it's going to be shared across their audience as well because it features them in it. So if you do it with bigger people, then you're more likely to get on the For You page, which is like the Explore page on Instagram, but for TikTok. Now with hashtags, I'd recommend if you are going to go down the hashtag route, which when you're a smaller account, really important to do that, 3 to 5 hashtags per post of varying audience sizes. Now, if you're also location specific, I would make that your first hashtag. So whether you're national, hashtag Australia, whether you're local, hashtag Sydney, or something along the lines of that to communicate the location that you're in to have the best possible chance to be targeted there. Now, secondly, after that, it's important to hit different sizes of your hashtags to be more likely to be trending on those hashtags and show up in people's For You pages. So the structure that I would typically use is hashtag a location, hashtag a topic, which let's say you're in business consulting, it could be hashtag small business. Let's say you're an online art class. I believe someone on here was in the art space. It could be hashtag art lessons or like art learns. People use really, really weird things on here. Now, in the art space, it would be really good to use a small art hashtag and a big art hashtag because the small art hashtag is going to be easier to trend on initially. But once you get the trending on there, you're more likely to rank into the bigger hashtag. That's how it works. How TikTok works is it has a 4-stage segment here where 0 to 1,000 views or 0 to 500 to 1,000 views, you can very easily get pushed up on anyone's For You page for that. And then above that, it becomes reliant on what your content is focused around and what hashtags there are there. Now, the other hashtag I have on there is hashtag FYP. That stands for For You page. It is the biggest hashtag on there and just one that I generally split test on there. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So just consider that. Now, the second thing is third thing, consistent TikTok lives. So TikTok lives are a great way to boost your engagement. And generally you see a boost directly after your TikTok live about like what this does is it boosts your post that you have currently posted once you end your live. So really important to go on those TikTok lives. And it's also dependent on how many people are on there. So if you have, let's say 100 people or 10 people, the post after the 100-person live is going to grow a lot quicker there. So really, really important to do that. But if you set it at a consistent time, let's say 8 p.m. every single day, people know when it is and they're more likely to show up for that. The next one, jab, 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 right hook. So provide value and platform-specific content before you ever ask for something. My general rule of thumb is 3 pieces of value, 1 piece of ask. Make content in line with the platform. TikTok is a very, very specific platform. So it's important to ensure that your content on there is reflective of the other stuff on there. So it doesn't look like an ad and people go straight past it. Use text boxes in your video. So really important to use the captions in there. And you can also set specific time frames in there. All right. All call to action. So if you're telling someone to do something, always do it with your voice. Okay. If you write, go to my website, link in bio, whether that be in the video or the caption on it, TikTok is going to pick that up as you trying to get people to leave their platform. And they don't like that, but they can't track it as much if you say, go see the link in my profile. So really, really important to do that. Video watch time and follows skyrocket your growth. So if you can get people to watch the whole video or watch it multiple times or to follow you, that's going to play out a lot better for your profile growth than liking or commenting. And lastly, conversions are better when you demonstrate. Don't tell. Don't say this pen is the best goddamn pen. Write down and show them. So lastly, few things to consider before we get into question time. So with so many platforms, it can be ultimately very, very overwhelming to understand which platforms, which strategies, and what actions are going to lead to your success online. Now, in a world with so much noise, the question is, how can you succeed? Okay, so tip one, deeply understand your audience. Sounds really, really basic, but having that self-awareness of your ideal client is really, really important. So one, where are they online? What platforms are they showing up on? What is their demographic? As in, different platforms generally have different types of people on there. Really hone in and make sure that there's a primary audience of your ideal client on there. And lastly, what do they really want? This starts to form into what kind of content you're going to throw out to these people so they go, hey, I like that. Tip number two, provide value everywhere. So if possible, can you be omnipresent? So this is a very, very commonly thrown term around the marketing space, but it essentially means, can you access them from everywhere? So one thing I mentioned earlier was around the Facebook pixel. Really, really important. If you can show up on as many platforms as possible, one, in their emails, two, retargeting, three, on TikTok, and basically everywhere this person is consuming value, then they're more likely to have you front of mind. And if they need your stuff, they're more likely to make a buying action with you. Most effective retargeting. Now, in terms of retargeting, the most effective retargeting that I find and has led to the biggest success with my clients has been Facebook and Instagram retargeting. If someone goes onto your website, you can pretty much hit them there anytime, any day. Tip number three, adjustments only do so much. Now, why I say this is because when you have a marketing plan of attack, generally what people do is they go, okay, this is my strategy. They lay that whole strategy out and they say, with this strategy, I should get X outcome. Okay. And then it doesn't achieve that outcome at all. And they make these fine tunes along the way to rapidly change that adjustment. Now, what's really important here is, in my experience with lots and lots of clients in the paid ad space and also the organic space, is these small adjustments can only do so much. Generally speaking, if you change the macro strategy, the results are going to change a lot more. So the question is, have you tested enough? Have you tested enough to make a decision whether the strategy should continue or not? And the second question is, what is another approach? How can I make this person certain about my product elsewhere? And the last question is, why is nobody buying? Trying to get into the head of your ideal client to see, what kind of issues you can see within your marketing to succeed. All right. So the question is, where to now? So what I wanted to do is give you guys a few really, really awesome accounts that you guys can go see to learn actually on the TikTok platform from the people who are absolutely killing it, even at a higher level than me, because I abandoned ship recently, would be the first one. This guy is incredible. He is by far the smartest person on TikTok and will give you the best trend strategies ever. So Jackson's Tips. He's a quirky dude, but he knows his stuff. Number two, this person delivers really, really great B2B content and has seen a ton of success on there. So one, it's a great example of how to use it for B2B, but two, some really, really great strategies there on how to actually fix your marketing on TikTok. And lastly, one thing I wanted to mention is that Nick here has one follower, and that's me. What's really, really key here is he's posted 2 videos of him playing golf with some funny effects on there. But what's really key here is he's been on the platform for a very finite amount of time. And he's got one follower who hasn't liked any of his videos. Sorry, Nick. But he's gotten 400 content views. Okay. So if you can go onto a platform, well, actually, he's got more than that. If you can go onto a platform with 0 followers and on your first post get 400 content views, that is got to be a sign that there is some kind of opportunity on there. So lastly, I want you to jump on, show some love, and go follow Nick Cree. All right, question time. Let's get into it.
Awesome. That is great. I'm absolutely stoked. I've got one follower, and I'm amazed that I've got 400 content views after just that this morning. That was just me mucking around. So thanks for that. All right. Any questions there? Just unmute your mic, or you can drop them into chat here, and yeah, happy to get Michael there to answer them.
Yeah, I've got a question. If I can jump in.
Perfect.
Hi, Michael. It's Jane. I'm the art teacher. So thanks for using me as an example there. That was a great tip. Just 2 things. One, I don't know whether you mentioned it and I was too busy writing down, but does there have to be, if you're going to post, let's say, well, you say between 1 and 10 posts a day, do they have to be consistent?
What do you mean by consistent?
So like for Pinterest, let's say, yeah. I put in 6 to 7 Pinterest pins a day, and they're all at a certain time. The algorithm, I use Tailwind for Pinterest, so it tells me the algorithm of when my followers are scrolling, and with Instagram, I post at the same time every day so that the algorithm knows that I'm consistently posting. Do you know whether TikTok, the algorithm, picks you up if you are consistent in your post times at all?
Yeah. So post times definitely play into things here. Not as heavily predicated as what Pinterest does, and that's the true beauty of what Tailwind does. It tells you the exact kind of times that are going to play out well for your audience and people who were previously engaging with your content. Now, with TikTok, yes, it does track on consistency, but it's more based off the number of posts per day. So it's more on a daily basis is going to have a greater effect. For you specifically, what I would say is don't so much tailor your post to a specific time, although over time your strategy is going to lead to that, but trial a few different times per day. That's going to get you the best engagement. The thing that happens with TikTok is when you post something, it's not like Instagram where there's a short burst where there's 1 hour of really, really deep engagement and then it just dies. TikTok is more of a slow burn where it's actually not going to hit its peak until 6 to 12 hours later. Okay. And that's on stride 1. How I was talking about there being 4 layers of this this platform is that to get to the peak of stride 1, it's going to be 6 to 12 hours after you've posted. So think about who's going to be consuming your content roughly about 6 hours later and how that's going to maximize your engagement. Does that make sense?
And yeah, absolutely. I mean, Pinterest is a really slow burn. So Pinterest
absolutely
is like 3 to 6 months.
Yeah, but it pays its absolute dividends.
Absolutely. So I've just posted all my Christmas posts. So, and the other, like leading on to that was, oh gosh, hang on, now I'm going to forget about it. Like Tailwind for Instagram, I use Tailwind for Pinterest, and I use later for Instagram and Facebook so that I can schedule my posts in days in advance. Is there anything for TikTok yet?
Not that I know of, but the one thing that's really, really important with TikTok and one thing that's going to save you time, although the APIs aren't developed there, what I wouldn't do is manually make a post at the time of posting it. What I do is you can save a drafts folder once you've made it, and you can store tons in there. I've had up to 200 posts in there at once. So you can definitely just build that up, spend a few hours, because it's a lot more efficient to make content in a few hours. You can make 100 posts in like 1 hour or 2 hours. Like these are small things. And as long as you've got the ideas there, you can make it extremely quickly. I generally get changed to make it not look like I did it in 1 to 2 hours.
Yeah.
But just for a time constraining thing, use that drafts box there.
Okay, lovely. Thank you.
No problem.
Well, I've got one in chat here from Ron, and he's asking, what's the best way to find your where your target audience lives on TikTok?
All right. What does Ron do? Ron, are you available to type in there what you do and who is your ideal audience?
Yeah, I'm coming.
Or if you want, you can just say, there we go, Ron. Yeah, how's things?
Yeah, sorry, I'm just not in my best gear. I have a business, the Pet Karma, so pet owners and veterinarians are my target audience. So I'm dealing with animal anxiety solutions.
Cool. And what kind of solutions do you have?
Well, they're science-based, so we can actually calm anxiety down using the hearing frequencies of each of the animal species.
Okay. Is it a product or a service?
Product.
Can it be done virtually?
It can
product.
Be demonstrated.
Are you national or international?
Australia, New Zealand.
Fantastic. What I would do on there is I would be targeting pet owners and really hitting them with content that pet owners love. So do it more on a content-based strategy than being on a hashtag thing. Now, I'd play two side by side. I'd be doing the hashtag location, hashtag pet owners, hashtag, and use like misfortunate things in there. Like pet owners love talking about when their dog or cat pooed on like the carpet and it's just the most terrible thing of all time, which sometimes does tie into pet stress. So what I do is I do that more relatable content, but do it on a more content basis and relatable stuff to pet owners, because that's really the person you're hitting there. So it could be a mix of like pet tragedies and pet fails / like cute pet stuff, but also just helpful pet tips would also really, really play well. So I do it on more of a macro scale, go for more of a global thing, because your base TikTok, algorithm is going to play in your favor. I'm assuming you're based in Australia or New Zealand?
Yep, based in Australia, Gold Coast.
Beautiful. I'm super jealous, but
we'll send you sunshine.
So what I'd say is do it more on a content basis, because the back-end algorithm is going to work in your favor, but just use those location hashtags to help as well. The metric to see if it's successful, though, should be if people are communicating with you. So I'd more be looking for a communication first before an actual conversion. So go step by step in the process.
Mm-hmm. So really, I understand what you're saying is, post content with some hashtags and see whether you get a reaction.
Yeah. So step 1 and 2 of what I spoke about. 1, you need to grow the amount of followers, even though the organic is quite good without having people on there. But it's really important to grow those loyal people and communicate with them, because then that communication can translate into, you have a pet, it's experiencing these things. And of course, if every 4th post is about stress and anxiety, if you communicate the benefits of your product, if people are going through that and they know you, they're more likely to go, hey. And then the other key thing, I'm assuming you have a website, put that in your profile link. Is your website being an e-commerce product? Is it on Shopify?
No, it's on WordPress.
WordPress. I'm not a WordPress person personally, but I'm assuming you get some kind of analytics on there as to the referral source, or I'm sure there's some kind of plugin.
Yes. Yeah.
So you'll be able to see how many people are coming from TikTok.
Oh, okay. Like TikTok don't have stats on sort of categories. You know,
Not so much, no. Still a fairly primitive platform around the analytics.
Okay, good. Thank you very much.
No problem.
Very informative.
I'm glad to hear.
Ron. Any other questions?
Hey, Michael.
Hey, Juanita, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good.
I just wanted to say awesome presentation. Well done.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. For those who are curious, Juanita is the person who I networked with on TikTok to be here.
Yeah. So pretty awesome. And I'm glad Nick got hold of you.
And thanks for the recommendation there, Juanita. It's been a great session today. Hope everyone's enjoyed.
Thanks, Nick.
Excellent. Any other questions from anyone?
Yeah, I sort of have a question.
Yep.
If TikTok is such a visual medium platform, how have you managed to twist it so that you have so many followers on something which is essentially a service?
So what do you mean?
What I mean is you do business to business marketing via internet, but TikTok, it basically relies on visual interest. So does that mean that you post lots of content about what you offer as a business to business marketer?
Yes.
Your 90,000 followers are all interested in that subject too.
So when I was building up that platform, that as in that following, that was more about just growing an audience, and that what I was building that for was more B2C, even though a lot of relationships from that, even though I didn't want it, was B2B. In terms of how you would communicate that within a B2B way, is that would be communicating different content. The TikTok algorithm is very, very strong in actually sending the content out to the right people. And there's actually a lot of business people out there who are communicating a lot of value, but the content and the stuff that they're sharing is very, very relevant to business stuff. And one thing that I see kind of playing in the favor of TikTok is being it an opportunity, and you guys all here learning about TikTok, which means more business owners are getting on there because business owners like chasing opportunity. And if there's opportunity, there's people on there in that space.
Yeah, thank you.
Make sense?
Excellent. Probably time for one more. If there's one more question, and then we can wrap up. Or if not, we can just put our hands.
I've got a question, if that's all right, Nick.
Yeah, go ahead, Tracy.
Yeah. So, do you recommend having sort of a theme or sticking to a niche, or do you think that variety is more of a assistance when it comes to something like a product?
It depends. Majority of the time I would say niche, but what is it that you do, so I can give you something a little more specific?
So yeah, I sell the activewear. So I've got
Fantastic.
activewear and so, but my product is more about the attitude rather than just the product itself.
Gotcha.
There's
Okay.
Sort of differentiate between, it's not, being the elite athlete. It's just about, being okay with the fact that sometimes you can't be fucked.
Okay.
And but still knowing that you need to have that health and fitness sort of aspect to it. So I was concentrating more on the sort of the comedy and bit of a larrikin aspect of it, and being, a bit rebellious and cheeky. But I feel like I might need to mix it up a bit.
Okay. My advice for you is you've clearly got some very, very strong brand values, and different things that are going to tie into this one niche area. What I would say is that it's really, really important to go niche from an algorithm perspective. that algorithm is going to play in your favor of the people who are going to be viewing your content. Now, because you've got a diverse, fun brand, it's also going to be important to actually show a little and communicate a little bit of uncertainty to these people around what you post to keep it exciting and fun. So it's going to be niche on the overarching macro idea, but there's going to be lots of different stems that come under that build to this one idea of this brand. So although it's performance, it's very much going to be what things come under performance. So what, like I'm just spitballing here, but one is diet, nutrition, and that kind of stuff. One, there's about being an elite person. Like there's a status attached to that, and that's where a lot of his fun, poppy attitude can come into that. Then there's obviously the training aspect, and then there's the aspect where people have to be motivated to do something. Okay, so then there's that area in there. Now, I'd say there's lots of tangents that lead to this one macro brand idea. So go niche on who you're targeting, but different sub niches that are going to lead them to that same spot to get certainty around your brand. They'll identify with that, be more likely to convert, if that makes sense.
Okay, good. I like it.
Beautiful.
Excellent. Well, it sounds like there's a project for some of us there to get onto the TikTok platform. You made it sound a whole lot easier than I was imagining, Michael, although you did freak me out when you talked about the cost of brand takeovers and some of those hashtag takeovers. I hadn't looked into the cost of that there, so thanks for enlightening us before I spent my money.
Yes, there's definitely a ton of opportunity on there. Whether or not the paid stuff is really as accessible as it should be, it's been more tailored at premium big brands first, just to get the influence onto the platform.
Excellent. Oh, well, I'm looking forward to seeing some of the TikTok accounts that are here. I've got another follower tonight, so thank you for the followers. Thanks, Tracy. And thanks, Michael, for coming on and sharing your knowledge. Thanks, Juanita, for recommending Michael to us as well, too. It's been an awesome night. And you've got a gift for us tonight, I believe, too, Michael. Is that right?
Yep, exactly. So what I've got is I'm in the process of developing an app for solo freelancers, founders, and basically anyone who's started a company or some kind of venture. Now, one thing that I know personally, and with every single entrepreneur that I've communicated with, whether they be just some kind of startup or to the executives of really, really great, huge companies, is that there's a massive entanglement between business life and personal life. And sometimes the control between these can be very, very hard to not either dip into one when it's personal time or dip into the other when it's time to work on stuff. And that either leads to distractions or we overwork, become frustrated that we don't have that downtime. So what I've done is I've put together an app which is being released in December. That's essentially to help for productivity with real-time data on how to I guess it's a real-time platform that you can use to manage your time, how you do things, and what your actions, how those lead to a specific output. So what I'm going to do, let me share my screen very, very quickly for you. I've got a little bit of a link here, or if you just go to my personal website, themichaeldale.com, there's a big button on the top right, or if you go to themichaeldale.com/get-app, that's going to take you straight to the page where you guys can sign up to get early access. And anyone who signs up to early access is going to be able to trial the software for free for at least 1 year, totally free. So just something exciting that I've been working on, a task I've been extremely passionate about because I know how much my business life inflicts on my personal life. And I'm not sure about you guys, but I have no work-life balance. I'm just work. So yeah.
Awesome. Excellent. Well, hopefully with this app, that sounds like it'll help you and it'll help us as well too.
That's it.
Awesome. All right. Well, thanks very much for your time, your knowledge, your wisdom tonight, Michael. It's been a sensational night tonight. And I'm going to go and get your app because I think I'll probably need that because my work-life balance is pretty good. I play golf on Fridays, but I could probably balance it out a bit more with some other things as well. Just a couple of announcements as well. Tomorrow is office hours, so for those of you that would like to come along and chat about some of the ideas that have come out of tonight or anything else in business or online marketing or anything online, come along to office hours tomorrow. It's at 10 o'clock Australian Eastern Standard Time, which I guess is 11 o'clock New South Wales, ACT and Tasmania and Victoria. A bit later for New Zealand. I think they're, what's that, about 2 o'clock? Somewhere around there. But look, love you to come along. It is no agenda, so we don't have an agenda for the night, for the day. It's really just grab a coffee, cup of tea, glass of wine, 10 o'clock in the morning, best time, and just come and have a chat. So we do have a good discussion, and often tonight's session triggers some of those discussions as well too. So that's at 10 o'clock tomorrow. The link is in the chat there, so you can go and click on the link and register for that now. And also next Tuesday, you can register for that as well. It'll be at the same time, same place, on Zoom here, and another exceptional presentation next week as well too. 1 o'clock for New Zealand for those that are turning up to office hours tomorrow. I'd love to have you there. So just remember, all of the links from tonight, they're in chat. If you open chat, which is the icon down the bottom of your screen there, and then once you've got it open, you can see 3 little dots on the bottom right hand side. Just click those 3 dots and you can save it to your computer. So that so then you can go and click through and explore and have a look at it at your leisure tonight or tomorrow. So once again, thanks Michael, thanks everyone for coming along, and look forward to catching up with some of you tomorrow and rest of you next week. Have a good week.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Thanks very much, Michael.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks, guys.